up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for Married to Medicine Season 8, Episode 13. So, we start this episode off. We got the fellas meeting up down in the Boom Boom Room bar down in Cecil's bar. We have Cecil and Scott and Toya husband. Why can't Eugene? I was gonna say why I can't never remember that man's name. Anyway, Eugene. And they just kind of talking about what's going on, having a little general conversation. They talk about the fact that Contessa and Toya seem to have made up. And then Scott starts talking about, this lady down at the they ask him about the practice, how the practice is going, and he said things are going pretty good. So then they ask him about he starts talking about this woman that they want to hire. And how good she looks, and how Contessa ain't gonna hire her because she's so nice looking. And then he proceeds to show them a picture, because he has a picture of this woman in his phone. Contessa, if you did hire her, you need to give her walking papers today. Because that's not normal. And I don't even know if that's not normal to just be walking around with pictures of people you thinking about hiring in your phone. Is that normal? I have hired people before. I have interviewed people before. I've had people's resumes in my, bag and brought it home to review things. But I've never just had a picture floating around in my cell phone of the people I was thinking about hiring. I've just never done that. So Contessa, I don't know, if you was thinking about hiring this woman, you may want to change your mind. That's all I'm gonna say. And then they proceeded to talk to them about how things went at the couple's night. Eugene was saying how he had a good time, how he was worried about it going left, but it ended up kind of being okay. And they were, of course, talking about Contessa and Scott. And Cecil is like, listen. And basically what Cecil said to him was, I used to feel like I had to win every argument, but you know what I realize now? I don't. And sometimes it's okay to do things that you don't always want to do to keep the peace. And I think he was trying to move Scott towards going to therapy, But Scott was like, you know what? I'm not one of her subordinates. Like, she's not going to just tell me what to do. And I was like, see, that's what it really boils down to. A lot of this boils down to you not wanting to be told what to do, even if it's right. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. A lot of us as adults struggle with another adult that doesn't have any type of authority over us, trying to tell us what to do. Even if in the back of our mind, we know they're right. And I know that Scott knows that his marriage needs help. And he may not agree that it's therapy, and that's fine. But I know he knows that if him and Contessa want to stay happy, they need help. Or get to a better place, I should say, that they need help. Anyway, that was kind of how that conversation went. So then we have Anila visiting her home with the nanny and the children. Now listen, her son. Now listen, let me say this. One of the things I'm going to say is, in all honesty, I have never built a house. I haven't. I've never built a home in my life. Maybe one day I will be blessed with that opportunity to buy a piece of land, build it from the ground up to my specifications, speaking that into existence. But what I will say is this. From what I do know, you build a home and you're not going to finish it, generally means that there's some issues in there. She's going through the house and talking about the basement, but they're not going to finish the basement right now. You are building this big, beautiful, gorgeous home. Why you not finishing the basement when you build the rest of the house? Anyway, so then she's going through the home and everything. So then she gets to her closet. And of course, it's going to be one of those big, beautiful walk-in closets with plenty of space for shoes and all the other things in a bob. And somehow or another, that leads to them having a conversation about her daughter and Anila feeling like she always had, and I feel like what Anila was saying without saying it was, because she always struggled with living, with being true to her Indian heritage, but wanting to fit in. That this home is sort of a status for her that makes her feel like this is making her fit in. That's what I gathered from what she was saying. Now, if y'all picked up something different, put it in the comments, but that's what I picked up. And then the nanny goes on to tell her, well, your daughter, her 5-year-old daughter said, well, I want blonde hair and blue eyes. Because blonde hair and blue eyes are beautiful. And so Neela is like, oh my gosh, my daughter is dealing with the same thing that I dealt with. And it did upset her. And we saw her later on in the episode have a conversation with her daughter and let her daughter know, listen, why, did you say it? Why did you feel that way? And her daughter talked to her about it and explained, listen, because blonde hair and blue eyes is beautiful. And she said, but you're beautiful too. And you could see the look on her daughter's face was like, yeah, whatever. And so she went on to talk about, what I liked what she did was that she just didn't talk to her. She showed her. And come to find out, her husband's cousin is a former, either current Miss America or former Miss America. And she was like, so look at her. She's not blonde hair and blue eyes. And look how beautiful she is. And she's Miss America. She won a beauty contest. So, and then at the end, she had her daughter give her the affirmation that she is beautiful. And so I was here for it. And I was very appreciative of that moment. I thought it was sort of awkwardly placed with the whole house situation, but I could appreciate the conversation. And we as Black women know that that's something we deal with ourselves, being held to the European standard of beauty. Anyway, moving on. So Jackie and Simone are back to their old tricks, honey. Simone is bringing Jackie lunch, and they are sharing lunch together. And remember at the beginning of the season, when she was having lunch with Heavenly, and Heavenly was like, I just feel like I'm the other woman. I feel like I'm the mistress. Because we know that was sort of Simone and Jackie's thing. That was their thing, that they, had lunch together. And so they're back to their old tricks, so that lets you know that they're definitely in a much better place. So Simone is letting Dr. Jackie know that coming back from the March on Washington, she felt like it was time for her. I'm sorry, the lawn people outside, and I was seeing if it was my people. But we see where she came back with a fire in her belly, saying, listen, we need to do more. When I get back to Georgia, I need to do more. And so she's teaming up with Lisa Nicole she wants to put together like a town hall. Well, come to find out, honey, Lisa Nicole done took over. She done invited Ice Cube. She done invited all of the dignitaries and all of this without consulting Simone. And Simone is like, I feel some kind of way about that because this was something we were supposed to be working on together. And she sort of took over. And Dr. Jackie was like, girl, Lisa Nicole's history. Like, you knew better than that, girl. So, next we see Dr. Heavenly, and let me tell y'all something. People can say a lot of things about Dr. Heavenly. They can say a lot of things about Dr. Heavenly. And a lot of it you will probably be like, yeah, that happened. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, But the one thing you won't say about Dr. Heavenly is that she is not giving her kids some good stuff. We see that her and her son bought that house on the lake, and they're gonna put it up as an Airbnb, which is beautiful. Like, that is perfect. That this is gonna be an Airbnb. Because it's right there on the lake. People who want to get away for the weekend and want to be at on the lake house, and especially people who live in the area who don't want to drive more than 2 or 3 hours outside of the city. Maybe just want to get away for the weekend, a girl's trip, a guy's weekend, a bachelor party. It's a great location in that area, right? And so her son has been decorating. Now, she said he needed a little help in the decorating department, okay? But after they go through the house, they talk about, basically, she is building generational wealth with her children. This is how we build generational wealth. She has him buying property, investment property. She's having him go through the process of fixing it up and overseeing it. And she even said to him, okay, so what does your price point have to be for you to make sure you're taking care of your bills for the month? Okay, we know the mortgage is $1,800. Okay, if you set it at a price point for X, Y, and Z, and you rent it out 2 or 3 times a month, you're good. Everything after that is all profit. Like, those are the conversations we need to be having with our kids. And especially these black people who get into these positions where they have the money to pass on to their children. It's not just about giving them a nice car. It's not just about, making sure that they go to a good school. That's great. All of that's cool. But making sure that they now can take that and translate it into something that's going to make them money. I remember Warren Buffett saying he wasn't leaving his kids nothing. And you know why he said he wasn't leaving his kids nothing? He said, because I gave my kids all the tools they needed to be successful on their own. And all of his children are successful. They may not be billionaires on his level, but they're successful. And he said, because I made sure that my kids had everything they needed, I gave them the toolkit. So no, I ain't leaving them all of this. So, anyway, so that was that. But it was a great moment. And like I said, we don't always have to agree with everything that come out of Dr. Heavenly's mouth. She is messy as hell. But at the end of the day, what we do get from Dr. Heavenly, I think Dr. Heavenly, those are my lawn people anyway. I do think we get some good stuff from Dr. Heavenly when it comes to what she's giving her children. Moving on, I've said that. Now, we see Dr. Contessa meeting with a life coach. She said, Scott doesn't want to do therapy, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop working on myself. And so we see her meet with the life coach, and the life coach is basically letting her know, listen, you've got to figure this out, figure out what it is that you want that's going to make you happy, and how to build these tools to take you into, the area that you need to be. And sometimes everything don't go with you. And you can take that how you want to take that. But again, when we start self-reflecting, we got to look at ourselves really hard and be really honest about what we see. And we have to be really honest about what it is that we do and the reactions we get from people, and taking that to the next place. Okay. All right. So Lisa Nicole is hosting a planning dinner for this town hall, and I'm assuming, we know that for the shows they have to host events, right? I am assuming that because this is probably the only event that she was hosting for the season, that she went all out. Because listen, when I invite you over to my house for a planning party, like my sister getting married, and we've been having like meetings to plan the wedding and work on the wedding. Child, listen, I think the first meeting we had, my mama ordered pizza. Every meeting after that, you was kind of like, you better hope you pick something up on your way. I got some chips and dip. Like, she had a pianist. She had a 7-course meal. She had her fine china out and her crystal glasses and her good champagne. I mean, she was going all out. But I feel like it's because I know this is the only filming I'm going to get. Because I've been a +1 all season, okay? I hope that noise is not too loud in this video. So first we see her and Anila shows her the post that she put up on her Instagram, or the pictures and stuff. Yada, 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 Buddha. Okay, cool. Then, Simone shows up, and Simone is pissed. And y'all know, Simone don't do subtle well. If Simone is mad at you, if Simone has a problem with you, Simone is mad and got a problem. She ain't subtle, okay? And so what we found out is Lisa Nicole has started sending out correspondence in reference to this event that her and Simone are supposed to be working on together, and the only person named on the correspondence is Lisa Nicole's. And so Simone is pissed, and she's like, "Listen, this was supposed to be 2 of us. Matter of fact, I asked you to help me, and you have just taken over and jumped in head first." And I don't think Lisa Nicole understood and got it. I think she was just kind of feeling like Simone was tripping, and she was, like, "Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about." Well, and of course we know that was the big fight between her and Dr. Heavenly, back when they beef, that they got into they beef about it. And the rest of the ladies show up and excuse me. Um when Dr. Heavenly walks in, Lisa Nicole takes a tape measure and wraps it around her waist. And, so that automatically set Dr. Nicole, that automatically set Dr. Heavenly off like, oh, so we fat shaming as soon as I walk in the door, like, that's what we doing? She was like, I ain't here for this. I ain't here for this. Now, while that's going on, you got Toya in the other room changing place settings because, of course, like I said, this is a formal 7-course meal. You had place settings, and Toya was like, I ain't sitting next to her. I ain't sitting next to her. So I don't know who got switched around and all that good stuff, but needless to say, they were switched, okay? And so dinner gets started, and during dinner, a couple of things go down. First of all, Lisa Nicole, once again, is telling everybody, all the people she invited to come to this event. She done invited Oprah. She done invited Ice Cube. She done invited all these people. So Carrie starts talking about something. When I worked for Mariah Carey, and at first I think it was serious, but then I guess it was a joke because Carrie and them were making fun of Lisa Nicole and her ridiculousness of all these people that she act like she know that's going to come to this town hall in Georgia, okay? Oprah. Then we have the situation. So Lisa Nicole says, well, I have a gift for somebody here at the table. And who do you think it is? And it was in a Chanel bag, and it was all pretty looking and everything. Well, at first, Dr. Heavenly was like, well, I know it ain't for me. I know she ain't bought me no gift. But come to find out, it really was for Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Heavenly realized that this was about to be a joke on her, and she was not feeling it. And so she got her ass up and she left. Now, on one hand, I was feeling Dr. Heavenly to say, listen, you done already tried to, fat shame me when I walked in the door and you threw the tape measure around my waist. But then, so what I'm going to say about this is, I understand part of where Dr. Heavenly is coming from, but at the same time, Heavenly, once Lisa Nicole explained what had happened, girl, you was all wrong. So what had happened was Lisa Nicole said that Dr. Heavenly had texted her a picture of her sitting on that horse from last week and said, is that your belly or your fupa or something to the extent talking about that woman belly. And so Lisa Nicole said something about, well, I will challenge you to, she said something about she weighed 125 or 12, whatever it was, and she said, well, I challenge you. And so what Lisa Nicole had bought her was a scale. She was like, girl, if you get on this scale, I will challenge you that you don't weigh what you say you weigh. And so the Heavenly is outside, and of course everybody went chasing after Heavenly, and she was like, well, I was just joking, it was just a joke, it was just a joke, it was just a joke. Okay, well, Lisa Nicole is just a joke. She bought you a scale, she put it in a Chanel bag. That's a joke. It's all jokes. So I'm tired of this Heavenly. Like, I'm you can dish it, but you can't take it, girl. And then your go-to is always, well, I was just joking. First of all, you mean it and you meant it. But even if you were joking, okay, so was Lisa Nicole. Keep it moving. Kick rocks. Keep it moving. If you can't take it, don't dish it. Moving on. Now, while this is going on, Toya is snapping at Dr. Jackie, basically saying, you letting Heavenly get away with everything, and you need to this and you need to that. Honey, Jackie told her, check your tone. Check your tone. She said, this angry version of you, Toya, it ain't cute. It's not cute. And she ends up taking Toya away from the rest of the group to have a conversation between just the two of them. And she said, what are you angry about? Like, what is it? Because I didn't do it. Whatever you mad about, I ain't do it. So what are you angry about? So Toya goes to explain that what she's upset about is actually the fact that she feels like she brought Dr. Heavenly in this group, and now Dr. Heavenly don't rock with her anymore. That Dr. Heavenly treats her like shit. Talks about her, they brought up the fact about her saying that she wasn't smart and all of that. And she said, she was my friend first. Like, when we, our husbands met and we became friends, and I've known her longer than everybody else on this show. And I feel like I brought her into this, because they never say on the show, they always say into this group. And I feel like I brought her into this group, and now that she's friends with them, she no longer feels like she kicked me to the curb. Well, girl, that's a conversation you need to have with Dr. Heavenly, but you can't be taking it out with everybody. Okay? But anyway, that was pretty much the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.